I'm going to start now with session 1. The session 1, I'll go to the code. I'll create new, the Python Jupyter Notebook. The moment it is going to open with untitled, I can go for deleting the tool box for the text. I'll go for this. I'll say Python session underscore 1 code. So I save this code with Python session 1. Since I'm going to start with the Python programming here. Now let me start first to explain you about Python programming. I'll start with about Python programming. When I start this, I want to make it to 60 pixel. I want to make it to red as a font. Or let's say I want to make it as a black as a font. The moment I select this, choose it as a markdown and run the code, it is called about Python programming. Now, Python programming based on 3 things. What are those 3 things? First one is library. The first one is library. The second one is modules. The third one is called functions. Now, we will talk about this one by one. Now, let's understand Python libraries. So, we'll talk about here the Python libraries. Now, when I say Python libraries, guys, let me go and search here. Going to Google, I'll search for Python libraries. When I click on it, I'll go to this image, which is here. Now, let me go ahead. I use the snipping tool here to cut this image. Going here to paste the image, I'll say markdown, paste, and say run. So now we have this Python library. There are many libraries, but this is an example of Python top 10 libraries, which we are supposed to be much more familiar when we are going through the Python programming to machine learning, to deep learning, to GNA and agentic AI. We will be using more extensively Pandas in DBMS programming for data analysis and manipulations. We'll be using NumPy as a library for mathematical functions or the operations or computation. We'll be using Matplotlib for data visualizations into 2D visualizations, C1 for the 3D visualizations. We'll be using TensorFlow for developing the machine learning models. We'll also use Keras for deep learning models. We'll also work with SciPy for scientific computing. PyTorch is also used for machine learning. Towards Scrappy is a library which is used for web scraping or web crawling of the data. There's something called SQL model, how to interact your Python with the SQL database. This is just an example of some of these libraries which we must be familiar with. Now, understanding about these libraries and the practical use of it, now let's go through this one. Before we start the Python programming, now the question is, I will start with how to identify the Python version that we are working with. To identify the Python version we are working with, now let me run this program and show it to you. How to identify the Python version. To understand Python version, we have to write the program like from. I'll use platform import. I'll be using as Python underscore version. There, I want to use print my Python version bracket start close. The moment I run this program, it gives me the output. Currently, I'm using 3.1, 3.1, 3.5. That's the latest version of Python that I'm using today. Is this clear to all of you guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, the next thing we'll talk about here, I want to know the Python jargons. So what are the Python jargons? Let me open an Excel file. If I talk about SQL versus Python, what are the difference in terms of jargon? In SQL, we call this as database. In Python, we call this as directory. Now, in SQL, we call this as tables. In Python, we call this as dataset. In, in SQL, we call this as columns. In Python, we call this as variables. In SQL, we call this as records. In Python, we call this as observation. Does it make sense to all of you guys? How to look for the difference between these two, Python versus SQL. Is this clear to all of you guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Right? So I take this here, copy this. Going back here, I make it to Markdown. When I run this, I see this is repeating multiple times here. Why it is happening? So because multiple lines of code is coming. So I'll just say, I will be going with image. Now let's see. Does the image come now? Hey guys, does the image come
Yes,
here?
sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Now, Python programming is very much case sensitive. Now let's understand here. Python programming is case sensitive. What does it mean? Now I'll show you here. Right? In Python programming, why we call this case sensitive? For example, if I write institute underscore name, it is written as DV analytics. Now, if I want to call institute name, now this is the variable and the variable value name is DV analytics. Single quote means it is a character value. The moment I run the program, I see the value is coming to DV Analytics Institute. But if I say the Python function called print brackets that close to the variable name, it is going to print the value as what? DV Analytics. What happens? When I say I want to go for calling variable name as capital institute underscore name. Now the question is coming, will it work? The moment you run the program here, it's saying what? Throwing an error. Institute name, the error is saying here, institute name is not defined. Why? Because it is in capital. Right? So variable name is case sensitive. Now, Python, if you go for writing capital PRINT print, and you can take the variable name here. If you run this program, it throws that name print is not defined. That means Python syntax is also case sensitive. So we have to be very careful when we go for writing this. Even if you go for Python syntax, it is case sensitive. Even if the Python variable name, that is also case sensitive, which we can take this example here. Right, guys, everyone? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, we'll talk about here Python variable and the data types. Okay. Now let's do this with Python variable and the data types. First of all, what I'll do here, I'll show you all the different types of Python data types. Now, I will be showing you here by selecting the markdown. I'll paste this and I'll say run. When I say Python variable and the data types, there are data types in Python which is called numbers as integer. There are data types in Python which is called your Boolean, sequence, and is mapping and sets. Under numbers, you have integer, float, and complex. On Boolean, you have true or false. On sequence, you have string, list, and tuple. And for your mapping, you can use dictionary. And for sets variable, you can go for set or the frozen set. So these are the data type. Now let's do practically. How will you go for practically? For example, if I write here institute underscore name is equal to DV analytics. Now the question is coming here. What is the data type for institute name? If I use type bracket start institute name, what is the output is going to come in here? It is a string. If I write here institute, I write age is equal to 15. If I search, if I go for type with the variable name called institute age is going to give me as integer, right? If I write here quotes underscore fee is equal to 3.2. Now if I write type of course fee, the data type which is coming to float. Are you getting this, guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Right? If I say
Yes.
the value which is given in this form of 100 plus 3g, and why we go for doing this, we'll discuss that in NumPy. But now, if I write type, the data type for the value variable, if you run this program, what is it saying? Complex. Right? Now, if I say value in the range, how do I want to define this? In, we'll write range of 0 to 10. If I search type of value range, it will give me the data type to what? Range. Are you getting this, guys? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, if I say A is equal to 100, B is equal to 200, if I write an argument saying that print A greater than B, what is going to print here? It's saying false. If I say print A less than B, it will say true. So when the values are coming false and true, we call this, these are the Boolean value. Now, if you say print type of true, and if you say print type of false, what is happening? Both are coming as what? The data type to Boolean. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So in this case, we'll also understand the data type. Like, for example, if I write here, let's say student underscore name equal sign, I put a square bracket starts and square bracket end. In between, I put the name here. Let's say Ravi. Let's say Komal. Let's say Lakshmi. Let's say Akash. Let's say Janvi. Right? So ultimately, I created student name and I give the list of values as Ravi, Komal, Lakshmi, Akash, and Janvi. When I say print the value for student name is going to come like this. When I say print the value name called student name, the values are going to come like this. When I say type the value name with this, then it is going to give the value as what? List. This is the value for list. Anything is coming with the square bracket, starts and end. This is called list. Now, the same one, if I put it in a parenthesis, what will happen if you put that into parenthesis? If you run this program, you get the output is coming. If you run this program with print as student name, you still get the output which is coming here. But if you write type of student name, it is going to give you, since it is in parenthesis, it's going to give you tuple. Are you getting this, guys? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, the same one, if I put it in a parenthesis, what will happen if you put that into parenthesis? If you run this program, you get the output is coming. If you run this program with print as student name, you still get the output which is coming here. Now, if I take this student name here, where I want to put this instead of parenthesis, I will be giving as a curly bracket, right? When you run this program, what is happening here? You get the value for what? Student name with this. Now, if you go for writing print to this, what is the output is going to come in? What is the output is going to come in, guys, here? If you're calling this as, this is called as your set variable values. If you call this, it is coming as what? The set variable values. But when you are calling this value, it is alphabetically going from A to Z automatically. But when you print, it is going to print as it is. Now, if you write type of student name after this, it is going to give you as what? Set. Now, if I select this value, even if it is in curly bracket, I put Ravi is 23 years old, Komal is 35 years old, Lakshmi is 32 years old, Akash is Akash is 29 years old, Janvi is 7 years old. The moment you run this program, you get this output. The moment you say print student name after this, what is it happening? It is giving the value like this. The moment you say type student name, what is it coming here as data type? Is coming a dictionary. So ultimately, guys, just to give you a background, any values defined this way, any values defined this, any values defined this way. So this is the easiest way to understand. This is for what, guys? Data type
List.
list. This is for what?
Tuple. Tuple.
Tuple. This is for what?
Set. Set.
This is for what?
Dictionary.
Dictionary. So this is how we need to identify the data type looking at the way it has been presented. Is this clear to all of you guys?
Yes.
Right. So now, guys, I want to ask you something. I'll say list down the data types. Can you tell me, guys, what are the data types we discussed now? Starting with string. Second is integer. Third is float. Fourth is
Complex.
complex. Fifth is
Boolean.
no range. Sixth is boolean. Then what did you do here, guys? After that, what you did, guys?
List.
List. Then
Tuple.
then
Set.
then
Dictionary.
Dictionary.
very nice. So guys, these are the different data type which we just now discussed. Is this clear now, guys?
Yes.
Right. Since we understand the data types, now let's have a quick test. Ready for the test?
Yes.
Now let's go with the test here. We call this data type test. Mark down and run it. I'll give you here name is given as Devendra Das. Age is given as 43. Then it is given as score is 543, 48.90. Then I call this a score complexity, which is given 100 plus 3i. Then I go for giving the values here. Subject is into math, science, English. Now subject underscore score is given as math 98, science 87, English 77. Right? Now tell me, what is the data type for age?
Integer.
Integer.
Perfect. What is the data type for subject score?
Dictionary.
Dictionary.
Sorry?
Dictionary.
Dictionary. Tell me what is the data type for score underscore comp?
Complex.
Complex.
Okay. And what is the data type for name?
String.
String.
Is going to be string. And what is the data type for age?
Integer.
Integer.
And what is the data type for score?
Float.
Float.
Is going to be float.
Float.
Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Is this clear? How to understand the data type?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, let's start with basic. I'll go for basic mathematical computation. What does it mean? Now, I want to show you something where you will know this is how we normally go for mathematical computation. The first one will go with addition. What is addition? I write A is equal to 100, B is equal to 200, C is equal to A plus B, right? And when I say print the value for C, what is the output is going to come in here, guys?
300.
Right, 300. When you say subtraction, what does that mean? When you say A is equal to 100, B is equal to 200, C is equal to A minus B. When you say print C, what is the output is going to come in here, guys?
Minus 100.
Minus 100. When you say multiplication, right? What does that mean? A is equal to 100, B is equal to 100, C is equal to A star B, and you want to print the value for C. What is the value is going to come in here, guys, everyone? 10,000. Yes or no? When you say, I want to go for division, A is equal to 500, B is equal to 5, C is equal to A divided by B, and you want to find out the answer for what? If you want to go for division and you want to say print C, the output is going to come in as what, guys? 100.0. Right? Now, what is called how to get the quotient? When you divide something, how to get that? If A is equal to 500, B is equal to 100. If I say C is equal to A double slash B, and if I want to print the value for C, ultimately the output is going to come in as what? The quotient is 5. If I want to get a remainder after the division, how to get this output? If I say A is equal to 300, B is equal to 200, C is equal to A percentage
B.
B. Ultimately, what you want to print the output for? C. the output is going to come in as what? 100. Are you getting this, guys?
Yes.
Right. Now, how to look for power? Though we'll be doing it later, but I'm just trying to show you here. If I say A is equal to 3, B is equal to 3, A is equal to 5, B is equal to 3, C is equal to A double star B. So ultimately, when you say print C, what is the output is going to come in here? It is going to be 5 to the power 3, which is going to be 125. Does it make sense to all of you guys? Everyone? Right? Now, next, we'll talk about values indexing to retrieval. What is the meaning of values indexing to the retrieval? To get that, I'll give an example to you. I write here, let's say I put a text. Text is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Right, guys? If I say print, if I go for printing text, what output is going to come in here, guys? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. But if I say I want to print text with 0 index, remember, guys, when you run this program, it is going to give you value of A. 0 means always indexing starts in Python from 0. Even if the row number 1, it is in SQL called row number 1. In Python, it is called 0. When you say 0, it starts from A. When you say 1, it will start the value of what? B. This is B. When you say, I want to see the value for text, square bracket, 0 to 3. What does it mean? It means you are printing the value of 0 to 3, which is going to be 0 to 2, 0, 1, 2, which is coming as what? 0 is for A, 1 is for B, C is for 2, which is coming ABC. Is this clear to all of you guys, everyone? Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
When you say text with -1, what is the value is going to take in? The last value, which is H. What happens when I say text with -3? What value is going to get here? When you say -3, what value is going to take here? F, from right to the left, which is -3, -1, -2, and -3. Now the question is coming. So can I write -1 is to -3? What should my output? The output will come as 0. You cannot come from right to left, but you can go from left to right by giving the indexing. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's take this example here. I take this value. When I say print of student name, what value is going to print here? Is printing Ravi, Komal, Lakshmi, Akash, and Janvi. When I say student name with indexing of 0, what value is going to print here? It is Ravi. When I say this with 3, what value is going to come here? It is going to be what? Ravi. So when you say 3, 0, 1, 2, and 3 is Akash. When I say I want to go from 0 to 3, it will go from what? Ravi, Komal, and Lakshmi. When I say student with -1, what is that representing here? Is going to take the last student name, which is called Janvi. What will happen if I say -0 to -1? When it's a 0 to -1, it is excluding Janvi, the -1. It is going to get all the student name. Somebody says, sir, can it be happen that 0 to -2? Let's target here 0 to -2. What output is going to come here? It is going to come as what? Ravi, Komal, Lakshmi, not Akash. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now the interesting topic we'll be discussing about here list, tuple, set, and dictionary. Can it be updated, deleted, and appended? Now let's do this example here. Since it is a kind of question, I'll be putting in red. Mark down and run the query. Now let's go and answer this to you guys. Simply, I write student name here, right? When I write the student name, I can see the output student name is coming. When I say type of student name, what is it going to give you guys here? It is giving a list. Yes or no, guys, everyone? Right? When I say student name with 0, what is the value is going to come in here?
Ravi.
Right? Now, I want to change value with 0 to a new value. The new value is called Ravi Krishnan. Right? So ultimately, when I change this, I want to see what is happening to my values here. So I just updated the first value from Ravi to Ravi Krishnan. What has happened now? It is updated. Everyone, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
When I say I want to go for 3, Akash, I'll put it as Akash Sarma. Right? When I say Akash Sarma, is it changed? It is changed now. That means we can say list can be updated. Everyone, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
We can say the list can be updated. Now the question is coming, can list be deleted? Can list be appended? We'll talk about that one after another. For example, given this list here, I'm saying select 0, or let's say 1. What is the output is coming? It is coming Komal. If I say delete this value, right? And after deleting, I want to say print student name. See what is happening. Now it is deleted the first value, right? Which is coming as what? So you deleted the first one and you're getting the values. So it was Komal. Now Komal has been replaced or deleted. You have Ravi, Lakshmi, Akash, and Janvi is coming only. So what do you say? List can be deleted. Yes or no, guys, everyone? Is this clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Now, take these values here and put them into what? Parenthesis. Okay. Understood, guys? Guys, are you getting this? Now, if you say type of student name, what is it happening? It's saying tuple. Everyone, yes or no? Right? Now, I can say student name with 0. What is the value is coming? Ravi. Now, I will say this should be Ravi Krishnan. Now, if I run this query, it's throwing an error. It's saying tuple objects does not support item assignment. That means if you're getting this error, what does it mean? You will say it means tuple cannot be updated. Are you getting this, guys, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, let's say I have this value. I get Ravi. Can I say delete this value? If I run this query, tuple object does not support item deletion. That means tuple cannot deleted. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting this? Right? Now, let's say after this list cannot be deleted, I want to show you something more examples from this. I call this age, which I take it here, 23, 25, 26, 28, 27. Now, if I print this student name and student age, I get the output like this. Yes or no, guys? Are you getting this? If I
Yes, sir.
say student full underscore details, how will I do this? I will say student name plus student age. Ultimately, if I say print the value for student details, it is appended. Yes or no? I can say list can be appended. Yes or no, guys, everyone? Is this clear? List can be appended?
Yes, sir.
Right. Same way, I take the same example here. I just change it to parenthesis, and this will become as what? Tuple. Now the question is coming, I got this output. Can it be appended? Since I have student name here, student is here, and I want to print this, can it be printed? Yes, it is printing. So you can say tuple can be appended. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now we'll talk about how to deal with set. Given a set value, you will be identifying this by what? Curly bracket. If you say print to the student name, you can get output printed. Now it is going to be what? The type of this is going to give you as what? It is a set. Now the question is coming, if I write student name to be indexing 0, what is the output is going to come out of this? It is showing an error. Set object is not subscriptable. That means indexing is not possible with what? We cannot do indexing with the set variable values. Is this clear to all of you guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, next, I want to call this Aj Ravi Krishnan. Run this query. Set object does not support item assignment. That means what you can see here, you can say set cannot be updated. Are you getting this, guys, everyone? Clear now? Now, if you write delete this set object does not support for deletion. That means set variable values cannot be deleted. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Let's move to the next. If you run this program, you get the output is coming like this. Now, if you write type student name, what is it saying here, guys? Dictionary. Now, in the dictionary variable, we have two components. What are those components? One is called keys, second one is called values. For example, when you say Ravi 23, right? So this is called, the keys is this, the values is 23. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
When you say student name dot keys, brackets that close, it is going to pull all the keys. Ravi, Komal, Lakshmi, Akash, Janvi, all are keys. If you say, I want to go with student name with values, he's going to pull all the values for you guys here, which is 23, 35, 32, 29, and 27. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Yes or no? Are you getting
Yes,
this?
sir.
Right. Now, what will I do here? I want to update. How will you update? For example, I will say student name. The name of the student is Ravi Krishnan. I want to change the value, let's say 55, right? Now, if I search for this, what is happening? I can see Ravi, which is 23, that has been changed with the value called 55. That means a dictionary variable values can be updated. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Is this clear?
Yes.
Right? Now, let's say I want to delete student name Ravi. Now I want to see what is happening out here. When I run this program, what is happening? It is deleted. It is deleted to what? The student name Ravi has been deleted with the keys and values. Yes or no, guys, everyone? So I can say a dictionary variable values can be deleted. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Yes or no? Are you getting this? Right. Now, let's do one thing. I will start with two variables. Student name underscore age, student name underscore education. I put it here called MBA. Komal is for BTech. Lakshmi is for MCA. Akash is for BSc. Janvi is for BE. So ultimately what happens, guys, here, I have two variables. I can go for print student age here. I can go for print student education here. If I run this query, I got the error in the
B, sir.
So B apostrophe.
oh god.
Single quote.
if I run this query, I can get this output here. Yes or no? Everyone. Now, if I say student details, I want to create name, age with name, education. If I want to call the output for student details, what is it giving here? Unsupported operators with plus symbol for dictionary. That means I can say a dictionary variables cannot be appended. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's understand how things are going to be happening. So guys, if we talk about your variable types, updated, deleted, appended, indexing, what we say, list, tuple, set, and dictionary. List is what? Yes, 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 yes. It can be appended, updated, deleted, appended, and indexing. Tuple cannot be updated. Tuple cannot be deleted. Tuple can be appended. Can tuple be indexing? Answer is yes.
Yes.
Set, can it be updated? No. Can it be deleted? No.
Yes.
Can set be deleted?
The set can be deleted.
Okay. Now let's do this. Okay. So first of all, we cannot index the set variable values. We cannot update the set variables. Set variables cannot be deleted also. So it is all going to be what? Deleted. Set variables cannot be deleted, but we haven't done anything for updated. So the appending is yes. We'll say yes, it can be appended. Indexing, no, it cannot be indexing. In fact, I believe appending also no, set is going to have one single value. So now let's do this practical. Why will we be keeping this to last? So better we just insert something here where we want to take the value for this. Take this as student age. I put it as what? 24, 25, 26, 27, 24. That's it. Now I can go for calling this as student age. Now let's run this program. Now create student details. You want to go for student name plus student age. And you want to print what? You want to print what? Student details. When you do that, what is it happening? It is not supporting for what? Appending. So you can say set variable values cannot be appended. Set variable values cannot be appended here, which we proved now. Dictionary. Dictionary variable values can be updated, can be deleted, but cannot be appended. What will say here? It is yes. It is yes. It is no. When it comes to indexing, what do you say, guys, here?
Yeah.
Can it be indexing? Answer is no. So you can consider this way what is not going to be happening. Rest all, we can take it this way as an image going to your understanding what we overall journey we understand here. There, paste it here. I would rather prefer to go for this image only to be printed. Now we call this as variable summary. You can call this called variable summary and make it to blue. Mark down and run. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Yes or no? Is this clear? Hey guys, is this
Yes,
clear
sir.
to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We will be starting with now creating data frame or data set, or we can call this creating temporary data frame and data sets. We will be starting this here now. Okay. So what is that mean for creating a temporary data sets and all? Let me show you here. In the data set here, in the raw data file, I have a table called student inquiry table. Clear now, guys? Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
Now, the student inquiry table which you want to create, it is having student ID, student name, age, gender, education, date of inquiry, and the course details are given. There are 10 observations and 7 variables. You got to define this to your Python program. As we discussed, SQL, we call this table, Python, we call this data set. SQL, we call these columns, Python, we call these variables. SQL, we call these records, Python, we call this observation. Now, data set name and student underscore inquiry underscore 2000 is the student. This is going to data set name. Number of variables, 7 variables, number of observation, 10. Now let's go and create this. I can copy this here. I can go back to the program. In this program here, I choose this markdown, paste the values. I want to keep the image only. I delete rest all, not required. So we want to go for creating this image, this particular dataset, which is called student underscore inquiry underscore 2020. How would you go for creating this? To create this, we'll use import Python library called Pandas. Arch, we give a name called PD. I want to create the table name, which is called student underscore inquiry underscore 2020. This is my dataset name, which I want to create. Equal sign, I will be writing PD dot data frame. In the data frame, capital D and capital F. I want to give a square bracket. Now, how do you want to call the square bracket inside this? Once I define this data frame, I want to define my variable inside. Now, how will you go for defining the variables? The question are coming. Go for creating a curly bracket. First, you can go for a parenthesis. Second, you can go for creating as a curly bracket. Inside this, I want to define my variables. How would you define your variables? First, you have to enter. Then you write the first variable name, which is called student ID, stu underscore ID. When you are defining the variable name, make sure that the variable names are going with single quote, then colon. How will you define the variable values? You will be defining this to a list variable values. How do you give the list variable values? It is going to start with S1 to S10. Hence, I would be writing here S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, S7, S8, S9, S10. While I'm doing this, I define my first variable values. In the second variable values, I want to put it here arch. Second variable name is student name. So how will I go for giving this? Student underscore name. I'll put a colon. I'll put the square bracket. I'll put comma after this. But in this square bracket, I want to give the name. Name is Tarun. Name is Shivali. Name is Santini. Name is Pooja. Name is Lata. Name is Akash. Name is Vikas. Name is Siddharth. Right. Name is Gaurav. Name is Dev. Right, guys? Are you there with me, guys? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I know it is going to be a little painful since I'm writing in front of you guys, but I'm intentionally doing that so that you can understand how we can go for creating a data frame and what is the step-by-step approach for doing this. Age, I can put it 23, 25, 26, 27, 28, 23, 25, 29, and something. How many? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Two more is 32 and 35. Next, you'll go for the gender. So you can write here gender, colon, curly brackets, square bracket start and end. Gender could be, give it here M. This is going to be, let's say, male, called as female, then call female for 4 times. Then go for male, call male for 4 times, 5 times. Right. Next, I'll be going for education. How will I give this education here? I'll call this as BTech, MTech, BA, BCom.
Sir, in S6, there is an S6, student ID S6.
Thank you. MCA, I put it here as MBA. I put it as MSc. How many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. MTech, VTech, BCA. Now the next variable name is what, guys?
Sir, in gender also, all the males are. So
Yes, sir, male.
Mhm. Okay, done. Now I'll go for this date of inquiry. I want to give this as a square bracket. The values I want to put it here, it should be going as DDMMYY format. So what does it mean? I'll be putting this, the value like 21st
11, 21.
11 2020, like that.
11, 11, 21.
11, right. I'll just copy this here multiple times. Comma, comma, one more. Right. So they did inquiry on 21st, 26th, 28th. Now this is on 12. This is on 29. This is on 30th. And this is called 23. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is 27. Okay. Now the next is what? Last variable name is what? Course. So I'll put it here, course. Which I will also put it here. Then I want to call this, I put it here APIDS, APIDA, Advanced AI, okay. So now what I have done, guys, here, I have created my table, though it is manually created, but let it be happen. So I just go run the query. When I run this query, what is happening? My data frame has been created It is starting the indexing starting from what? 0 to 9. It is also giving the number of observations along with number of variables and the values which has been printed out. Does it make sense to all of you guys how this table has been created? Everyone, are you getting this, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, if I say I want to go for looking at this table, I will say dot shape. What is it giving? It's saying that it has 10 observations and 7 variables. If you say dot head of 5, what it will do? It is going to print the top 5, 0 to 4, top 5 observations in the data set. If you say dot tail is a function, is going to show you last 5 observations from the table or data set. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Guys, are you getting
Yes,
this?
sir.
When you say, I want to go for printing this output, I'll give this as dot LOC of 3. What does it mean? I'll say LOC of 1 is to 3. And LOC cannot be going with what is your parenthesis. It has to go by square bracket. What is the output is happening, guys, here? It is printing the first 3 observations 1 to 3. Yes or no? Yes or no, guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
What will happen if you say only 3? What is it happening here? Guys, can you tell me what is happening here?
It's giving the details of third row observations.
Which
Name,
observation?
all the details.
All the details of what?
For student ID S4.
No, it is given the 4th observation. The details
Yeah,
of the
fourth
student is given.
observation because it captures goes as per the label name.
Right. What is it given here? The name is 3. Data types are given as objects.
Object.
Right. Okay. Now what happens when I say I want to write the program this way with LOC? In this, I'll give the list of variable that I want to print. For example, I want to print student ID. I want to print gender. I want to print course. Are you getting this, guys? If I run this query, what is happening? Incomplete input. Where it is incomplete because you have to press bracket close. What is happening? It is printing the 3 observations from 1 to 3. If it is given from 0, definitely is going to get the value of what? 0 to 3, which is called 4 observations for student ID, gender, and the course details. You can see it here. Yes or no, guys, everyone? Right? Now the same program, if I just go for writing it here without giving any such observation details, what will happen now?
All the rows will be printed.
It is going to play with what? All the observations in the data set for all these 3 columns. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
What is the use of line of control function is clear to all of you guys?
Yes.
When I say info bracket start close, what will happen now? It is giving the complete details of what? Of your data set. It is saying that it is having total 7 columns. Each column, how many observations? Is there any null value? No null value. The count is none null. It is given data type is object means character, int means integer. All rest columns are given even if for date of inquiry. This is also reading this as a character. It's saying data types integer is 1 and string or character value is 6. This is how it is going to give the details when you say these values are going to come through info. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Right? Now, the next question is that we'll talk about how to add, drop, and rename columns in a dataset. This is something we'll be doing it now. Are you getting this, guys? What is the dataset we created? If you remember, this is called student underscore NQ 2020. Yes or no, guys? Everyone,
Yes, sir.
right? Now, to add column, what we'll do here, we want to add column. For that, I'll take this table. I will be adding a column name called institute underscore name. The variable name is institute underscore name. Now, while you're creating this column, you have to give values. How do you give values? Before that, since you're going to manipulate the table, we got to write import pandas as pd, call the library, import numpy as np, because any manipulation happens to the table, it has to go with these two libraries, pandas and numpy. We call this np. We will call this np.nan. Then I also want to add one more column to this. One is institute name, one is called country name. Right? In this country name also I'm giving this as. Now how do you want to call this table? I'll just call this table here. When I run this program, what is happening? The two columns have been added with null value for institute name and the country name. Does it make sense to all of you guys how to add columns? Guys, are you getting this?
Yes.
Right. Now the next is how to drop columns. Okay. For dropping columns, what we will do here, we'll take this table, right, is equal to the same table. You will use a function called drop bracket start close. Now what do you want to drop? You want to drop columns equals to create the curly bracket start. In this curly bracket, you take the column which you want to delete now, right? So, sorry, you will go for drop with, you take the list of columns. The column name is institute name. Second column name is country name. And you have to write here axis is equal to 1 and bracket close. So ultimately, when you run this program, why we are saying axis is equal to 1? Because you are going to delete the column. When it is coming to columns, we use axis. Axis equal to 1 means it is true. The moment you run this program, these two columns have been dropped. Is this clear to all of you guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Now we'll talk about to rename column. What will you do for renaming the column? We'll talk about that. Now we run this program, we get the output coming like this. Now what you want to rename out of this? I want to rename the student ID is called as student ID, and I want to call this education a date of DOE to date of inquiry. So first of all, I'll take this table which I want to rename. I'll use the function called rename bracket start bracket close. In this you have to write columns equals to. Why write the columns equals to? Because I want to call the column name which have to be renamed. For example, I'll go with student ID. Now, how do you want to call the student ID as a rename to column name? I want to call this as student ID. Close this. Then you can go for closing this curly bracket, comma. You have to use in place is equal to true because you're going to change the place with rename variable. You have to go like this to call the value here. Now, if you run this query, what is happening? It is coming student ID. Same thing. You can also do it here one more time. Take date of inquiry to date of inquiry. Now, if I rename this column, I can easily get my output, which is coming. Is it coming data of inquiry now? Everyone, yes or no? Are you getting this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now, how to delete a table? We'll talk about next. How to delete and truncate a data set. Now let's apply this. We have a table which is called student inquiry. If we want to delete this table, if you run this program, you see the table is coming. You are happy, your table is there. If I use delete to this table, what is happening here? It's saying that the table has been deleted. Now, if you call this table, it will say the table object is not defined because the table has been deleted. Is this clear to all of you guys, everyone? You just write delete as a statement to this, you can get the value deleted. Now, how to go for truncating? For truncating, let's create the table first. Run this query. To truncate the table, you will use import pandas as PD, import numpy as np. Then you can call this table which you want to delete. Normally what happens, guys, we use iloc. In the square bracket, 0 is to 0. We write this way to truncate the table. Now, if you go and call the same table here, it may throw an error, but I'll show you what is happening. When I run this program, it is not impacted at all. Why it is not impacted at all? Because you have to create a new table before truncating. Call this version1 is equal to this table. Now, if you call this version1 table, you don't see any values inside the table. All the data, all the values have been deleted. Does it make sense, guys? Everyone, what is happening? You're creating a new table with only the header. There is no values inside it. That is where we call this truncating the table. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? We call this deleting table here. And we call this truncating table here. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Are you getting this?
Yes, sir.
We'll start with data importing and exporting. What will first? Data importing from Excel file. Okay. So for that, what we'll do here, let's, right. So data importing from the Excel file. Before we start with this, what we'll do here, we'll go through the folder. So we have given session 1 raw data. There is something called importing data file. There's a file which is given as made underscore store underscore 2020.xlsx.txt file .csv file. In this Excel file, the moment I open this Excel file, I can see the sheet name is coming as made underscore Australia underscore data, where we want to read this data to Python environment. What we will do first, let me close everything here. I want to go for reading this data. I'll copy this file path, which is coming here. Going back to this, the first thing I will be writing import pandas as PD. Same way, import numpy as np. I want to give the file underscore path from where I want to read my data. To read my data, I'll say file path. I will be using Unicode as R because wherever I have a value with slash with A or N, we have to use Unicode R to read the path properly. I'll go to the folder where I have to copy the file name, rename the file name here. Going back to this location, I call the file name is .xlsx. Then we want to create the table name called made underscore 2025, where I have to write PD, that is called pandas function PD. Read underscore Excel is the function. Function starts and close. In between, I have to give my file path. I will also give sheet underscore name. The sheet underscore name in this, as we saw, it is made underscore Australia underscore data. Now, if I search this table, writing there made underscore 2025 dot head with 100 observations to be printed. If I run this query now, I can see my 100 observation, the data is reading happened. My 100 observation from the dataset is coming, showing first 5 observations, last 5 observations, dot 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 is hiding in between remaining 90 observations. It's saying there are 100 rows and 25 columns have been printed. Just in case I want to see all the 100 observations to be printing in this, I must use there's something called pandas function PD set underscore option. What option I want to apply here? I want to apply, this is something called display dot max underscore rows. This is the function, and I have to use none. None is what? Is the Boolean criteria I want to put it here. Right? So I'm saying that PD set options display max rows, and I will also write here max columns. If I use this particular option, if I run this program now, it will print all the observations from 0 to 100 without hiding any of these observations. You can see the result which is coming here. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now this is where you learn how to go for data importing in Excel. Now we'll talk about data exporting to Excel file. So how will you go for doing this? Data exporting to one Excel file. Okay. So how do you go for doing this? I will be presenting this here, how to go for exporting data. As I said, before going for anything, make a practice of writing import pandas as PD, import numpy as np, give external file underscore path, and where you want to store this data. I want to store my data into session 1 output folder. In this file path, I want to store my data. So I can say Unicode R, give the file name called made 2025 underscore export or exp dot xlsx file. How to export, which table you want to export now? The table which we created just now, May 2025. I want to go for exporting this table. How would you write this? To the function name 2 underscore Excel, where you want to export the file. You'll give the file path and you must give your sheet name. Sheet name is going to be made underscore data. Then while you are exporting data, by default, it will go with a row number. What happens if it is going row number? How to avoid that? Just select this and run the program. The moment you run the program, you don't see any error. You should come back and see in the folder made underscore 2025 XLSX file has been created. If you open this file, what you see, it is coming with index 0 to 5111. But I do not want to show this index while exporting the data. What will I do here? I'll just go back to the same folder. Here, I will write index is equal to none. If I write index is equal to none and run this query, my data has been exported so quickly. I can go back now. I can see in this file, there is no column called index. It is just data as it is has been exported. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this is where we understand data importing and data exporting. Now we'll talk about data importing and exporting from the CSV file. We'll talk about data importing from CSV file. For data importing from the CSV file, we'll go back to the raw data, import data. Now there is a file called CSV here. I copy this file path. Going to the program, I must start with import pandas as PD, import numpy as NP. You can say file underscore path, giving R as Unicode, give the file name. The file name is made underscore store underscore 2022 dot CSV file. How do you want to import this? You will say made the table name which you want to create. It is made underscore 2025 underscore CSV file. I will say pd dot read underscore CSV bracket start. You can give simply the file path and close. Are you getting this, guys, everyone?
Yes.
Now you will be printing this table dot head of 100. When you go for reading this data now, it is giving you first 100 observations from the data which has been imported. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Is this clear? Right? Now we'll talk about data exporting to CSV file. How would you go for data exporting to the CSV file? Now let's have a look at it. I will go for to export means I'll also call this library. Then I will say external file underscore path. I want to give this path, which is from the output folder. Copying this file path, I call made underscore 2025 underscore CSV underscore exp dot CSV is the extension. To export the file path, which file I want to export now? I want to export made underscore 2025 file to underscore CSV file path. The file path I want to give it here. Then I have to write here index is equal to none. If I run this program, what is happening? This table has been exported with this name as CSV file, which has been exported now. The moment you run the program, you can go back, you can see made underscore 2025 CSV is exported. You can see your exporting data is coming like this. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right. Now we'll start with data importing from the text file. So how would you go for doing data exporting from the text file? Here is an example. Importing from the text file. For that, we'll go back to the data, raw data, importing data. You can see the text file data is given. Right? What the delimiter in this text file, guys, everyone?
Comma.
Comma. Copy this file path, go back here, call import pandas as PD, import numpy as NP, file underscore path R with Unicode value, go for the file name dot txt file. Then you'll be going for reading. I call this file which I want to read now. The file name I want to give it as made underscore 2025 underscore txt equals to pd dot read underscore CSV. You cannot read the text file as txt. You have to go with read underscore CSV file. Then you have to use separator, which is given as comma. If you go for printing this table to head of 100, you can see your data has been imported from the text file and printed for 100 observations. Okay. Now the next is data exporting to txt file. So how would you go for exporting data to a text file? We'll be doing it here. For doing this, you will write what? Import pandas as PD, import numpy as NP, external underscore file underscore path is equal to R. The file path over here is given this. The file name which I want to export, let's say I want to export with made 2025 underscore txt underscore exp dot txt is the extension. The file which I want to export now, his name is made underscore 2025 dot to underscore csv is the file path. While exporting this data, I will also use separator. I want to give the separator as a pipe. I'll use index as none. If you run this program, what have you done? You have exported the file with pipe as a delimiter. You can see the file has come with pipe as a delimiter. Does it make sense to all of you guys? Everyone, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Since we have done this, there is a text is given in the raw data, which you should go for importing. That's a task. How to go for importing this text file for Excel, text file for CSV, and text file for text file. Okay, now we'll move to the next, where we'll talk about importing data from database file. Right? So we'll do it from data importing from SQL database server. How to go for importing data from SQL database server, we will be doing it now. First of all, let me open SQL server. My SQL server has been opened. If I go back to the database, I have created my DB database. Inside this, there's a table called made underscore 2025. This is what I want to read now from this database server. My DB is a database and this is a server. And I have pasted my local server, database server name, which is here. How do I get it? Because when I open the SQL server, it will show me my database server name there. I'll take it from here. To read data into SQL environment, to reading data, what program you'll write here? You're writing the program like import pandas as pd, import numpy as np, create the library name SQL Alchemy. So you can go for from SQL Alchemy, import. You will go for importing the create engine and the event. So you will say create underscore engine and you want to create the event. So this is called a module. Inside this, I'm importing, these are the packages which I want to go for data importing. I will say from SQL Alchemy dot engine dot URL import. I will say URL from this. This is what normal when you want to retrieve data from SQL Server, you have to write this. Then you will say connecting to the string is equal to, you will go for giving this bracket with. So this is the syntax we follow for connecting the string. Now for the server name, I just showed you here. This is my server name. If you do not have a server name, if you don't remember, you can say dot, but this is the server name. The database name which I want to import, that is the name is called MyDB. So I will change it to my underscore DB. Post this, you'll be writing the program this way, saying that connection to the URL to create MySQL PyODBC connections, query to this engine, create this value. Now the table which you want to import, it is called made 2025 underscore SQL. This is the table name. You're reading pd dot read underscore SQL table. The table name is 2025 in the database here. Now, since you are importing this table, you can simply go for calling dot head of 100 records. If you run this program, I got this invalid syntax. where I have called this as engine to the event.
There will be dot URL, sir. You have applied comma in the fourth line.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, yes, dot URL. If I run this program here, I get my 100 observations, which is coming from the table. Is this clear now, guys? It is reading data from where? From the SQL server. Got it? Everyone, did you get this?
Yes, sir.
Now, we'll talk about data exporting to the SQL server. So how to go for doing that? Here is an example. Let's say we have a table that is called the table which we have created from the beginning, or maybe the records have been deleted. Now let me take the table again. Yeah. Let me go for creating this table. I run this table. I got 10 observations, 7 variables. I want to export this table to what? My SQL server. There, what I'll write here, this is the same program. In this server name, I'll put my local server name. Database name is going to my_db. Now, the table that you want to export, it is called student_inquiry 2020. This table is going to store with what? Student_inquiry 2020 in the database. Now, if I run this program, does it export? It's saying 10. That means, yes, 10 observation has been exported. If you go back to your SQL server, select this database, refresh, you can see in the table, student_inquiry 2020 has been exported. If you go back to the query, if you say use my_db, if you call the table name SQL star from, this is the table name which you got it here. If you run, you see the same output which was there in Python is coming to the SQL server now. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Yes or no? Clear? So this is how, guys, hardly I will say people remember this code. They always carry copy paste. They know what to be changed by the server name, by the database name, which table they deal with, and how to go for treating the table for importing and exporting. This is how we completed. Now, the very important thing I'm going to discuss about is how to describing our table. Now let's copy this. Next topic, we'll talk about how to describe our data set. Now let's do this. Right? So first of all, we have given a table called made_2025. Right? If I say this is my table and I run the program, what is happening? Is going to print this table with what? All 5,112 observations, which is coming here. Now he'll say to know the number of variables and the observations in the data set. What will you run? To know the number of variables and the observation data set. To know, what will you do here? You will say dot head. If you run this query, you get 100 observations here. Everyone, yes or no? Sorry, to see this number of you have to write shape to get the details called 5,112 observations and 25 variables. Now, to print top 100 observations, what will you do for this? You write the table name with what? dot head of 100. You will print 100 observations, which is coming here. Now, to print last 100 observations in the data set, what will you do here? We'll go for writing this query with tail. We get the output for last 100 observations, which is coming here. Now, to print observations from 100 to 200 in the data set, what will you do for this? You will select this table. Then you will use the function called LOC 100 to 200. If you run this query, it is going to print the observation from 100 to 200. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Are you getting this? Hey guys, are you getting this?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, to print 100 random observation from the data set, what will you run to get 100 random observation? To get that, you will write what? This is equal to sample. From this table, the function name is sample bracket start in 100 observations, sample 100 observations. You have to use random state is equal to 42. Why we go for 42? It's a seed number. We'll discuss that later. Now, if you call this table, you see only random 100 observations are coming. 528, 132, 502, 079. These are random 100 observations have been printed. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Got it? Now, how to print few variables and observations only. To print few variables and few observation only. How do you go for doing that? You will say this is the table. The function name is line of control, bracket start, say 0 to 100, that is true. Then go for selecting the field name is called customer ID, is called company, is called gender, is called age, is called state underscore code. Now what happens when you run this program, it is going to print only those columns, customer ID, company, gender, age, state code. From 0 to 100 observations are coming. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone? Is this clear to all of you guys, everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Next is how to describe a data set with full information. Right? Describe data set with full information. How to go for describing this? You will say the table name is what?
Made underscore.
Made underscore. Just go to view, edit, clear all outputs. Okay. This is my table. To answer this program, how to describe our data sets with full information. You write dot info bracket start close. Is going to give you 5112 entries or observations, 25 columns or fields. Each column, how many observations? When saying 5112 and this is 5097, these are some blank values inside this. And data type integer, object, float, date time. This is how data types is going to come in. This is what the complete details is going to come. Now, if you want to see only the header list of variables. So how will you go for looking at this? To see the list of variables in the data set. To see list of variables in the data set, what will you do here? You'll take this table dot columns. If you run this query, it is showing all these variables. Now, if you go and run this dot columns dot values, it is going to give you only the, this is, if you say dot columns, it is indexing with column positions are going to come. Dot column dot value is going to array with all the column name in the table which is going to come. This is how you can see the list of columns in data type. If you want to see the data type, to see the variable data types, you will be running this table dot d types. It shows all these variables and their data types. Right now, to see the missing values by list of variables. If I say I want to see the list of missing values by variables, how will I check it? I'll check it made underscore 2025 dot is null is a function, sum of is null is a function. If I do that, it is going to give me the variable here 15 missing observations, here 893 plus 15 plus 2 17. If you add this, is going to how much? 910 total missing observations. How to see the total count of missing observations? You have to use dot sum one more time. It's saying total 910 missing observations in the data set. Does it make sense to all of you guys, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Right. Next, I will be talking about, guys, here how to create a new data set from an existing data set by filtering columns and values. This is something we'll do it before finishing the session 1. Now I'm going to start with this. What I like here, I like import pandas as PD. I like import numpy as np. I have a table May 2025. I want to create a new table called version 1 from this existing table made underscore 2025. This is how I'm going to create here to create a new data set from an existing data set. I will be running this program to get the output. Now the new data set is this. I can check this data set by putting head of 100. If I run this query, I see my output is coming from 100. That means I created a new data set from this existing data set. Now next question is how to create a new data set by limiting observations. Are you getting this, guys? How to go for creating a new data set by limiting observations. What does it mean when you say I want to go for creating a new data set by limiting observations? It means I want to go for creating a new data set. However, I want to keep this dot. I can say IOC or I'll say dot LOC bracket start. I'll just 0 to 300. If I run this program, what will happen now? This data set has been created having 300 observations. Does it work? Everyone? Does it work now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, how to create a new dataset by selecting few variables. To create a new dataset by selecting few variables, how to go for doing that? Let's go and create this. While I'm going to create this, I also want to understand this May 2025 May_2025 dot columns dot values. When I run this program, I see these are the list of variables. Now, what I'm going to do here is that I want to go for creating keep underscore variables. In the list, I want to keep the variable name like customer ID. I want to keep company. I want to keep gender. I want to keep age. I want to keep state code. I want to keep number of trips. I want to keep the spent amount. So I put them into a list. While going for creating a new data set, I will say version 1. From where? From this data set. Bracket start only keep those variables. If I do that, what I see here now in my data set with dot head of 10 records first. If I do this, what I see only those variables have been selected and 10 objects have been printed. This is how you can go for creating a dataset by selecting few variables. Next is coming how to go for creating a new dataset by dropping variables. How to create a new dataset by dropping variables. To do this, what I'll do here, I'll take a table name called student underscore inquiry 2020. When I run this program, what I see, my table is coming here. Now, to drop, I will use import pandas as pd, import numpy as np, drop, I just give the name as drop variable, the list of variable which I want to drop it. I want to drop it my gender. I will say drop as gender. I want to drop this as education. I drop it education. I want to drop date of inquiry. I can do this and bracket close. Now I want to create this version 1 from this table. I'll use the function called drop. Drop of what? I want to drop the variable which is called drop var. Since I'm dropping from the column, I will use axis is equal to 1, otherwise it will not drop. Now, if I see my new data set, it is coming with only selected variables from the table after dropping those variables. Is this clear now, guys? Everyone? Everyone, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So what I can say here to you all, we will say here, session 1 finished. Okay.